program brought to you by Conduit
All
Media
right,
Group.
welcome back. This is hour number 2. My name is Paul. Thank you so much for being with us today. The intersection of conservative ideas and reality. Let's go to our good friend. We got former state representative Donnie Copeland is on the line with us. Donnie, it's great to have you back on, sir. How you been?
Oh, doing wonderful, Paul. Thank you for having me, man.
Yes, sir. I'm glad that you could come on. I wanted to get your comments. I've got a whiteboard here. Cut, shift, raise. That's essentially, I feel like, the three options of this tax farce. It met yesterday for the first time. I don't think they're going to cut government. They might shift things around, but I definitely think they really want to raise their taxes. And all of the headlines, or all the substance, when you actually read between the lines about what these people are saying now, the Jim Hendrens of the world, the Jeremy Gillums, it really just screams that they now, are really trying to, recharacterize some of the promises they made at the beginning of the session, which is kind of par for the course. And I'm going to let you talk here in a minute, Donnie. But I want to.
No, that's fine.
I want to let you listen. This is Jeremy Gillum. Go ahead. This is Jeremy Gillum from the tax farce yesterday. At the very beginning, he opened and he felt the need to clarify what they were all there for. Go ahead, Joe, when you're ready.
It's going to be, I think, a very robust debate that will take place over the next year and a half as to our tax policy here in Arkansas. And I know a lot has been kind of written about the mandate, so to speak. And it seems to always be mentioned that it's about which tax cuts are going to be put forth in the next General Assembly. And I think you are all familiar with the fact that that is not necessarily the overriding mandate of this task force. It is to look at reform and relief and making Arkansas competitive.
All right, stop. All right, so, Donnie, you heard him say that there, and it's not a great piece of audio, but he says all of the news media is about what tax cuts that we're going to be delivered to the General Assembly next go-around. He says, I think everybody here knows that that's not necessarily the mandate for tax cuts. You served under Jeremy Gillum. What are your thoughts about all that?
Yeah, Jeremy's getting his marching orders from the governor. Make no mistake about it. I've seen it on numerous occasions that, at the end of the day, Jeremy's going to do what the governor asks, what he wants. That's bottom line. Here's a question I think the listeners need to ask themselves. What listener, what person in their right mind would say, okay, I'm getting ready to make some changes in my life. Maybe I'm retiring. Maybe I'm changing careers. And you know what? I think I'll just focus solely on what my income is. I'm not even going to focus on, do I need to downsize my house, downsize my car note, pay off my car. The outgo is never considered only the income side, and that's what we have in state government. They only talk about the government side, and here's why. They can shift and move. What were your three characterizations there again? Shift.
Cut, shift, raise.
Yeah, cut, shift, and raise. And all three of those, I mean, we saw it. We see it in Kansas. We've seen it in another state comes to mind. It slips my mind right now. I think Louisiana is another one. And then we see it with Bush when he was in the White House. When you cut taxes to appease your base so you can get elected next time, and you don't cut the size of government, you create more problems, not less problems. Mm-hmm. And so, the hardest thing is not to cut taxes. The hardest thing is to cut the size of government. And here's why. You don't have anybody, the people that would be lobbying for you to cut taxes, they're all at work, and so are not cut taxes. So if you don't cut them, they're not going to be, calling your number by far and large. But if you start trying to cut government, there's people paid to make sure you don't cut their piece of the pie.
Yeah.
They're called lobbyists. Mm-hmm. And so therein lies the problem. And they can, and you're right, I know it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but this is a farce. It is a farce because they're going to meet for however long. They're going to get paid all this per diem to meet. At the end of the day, you could cut 5% of the employees of the state of Arkansas a year, and in 4 years cut 20% of the workforce and not fire one person because we have that much turnover a year. But they will not do it because of all the tentacles of lobbyists and special interests in state government.
You're exactly right. We're talking with former state representative Donnie Copeland. You mentioned the lobbyists, and I it comes to mind our friend, mutual friend Josh Waters from Political Strategies. He was on the program yesterday, but a few interviews back, when we got his impression of the session, it was his first time really in-depth down at the Marble Palace every day covering the session. He's in committee rooms. He's speaking on behalf of Conduit for Action and, economic freedom filter. Does it grow government? Does it spend money we don't have? Does it increase dependency on government? That's the defense of whether or not a piece of legislation is good or not. And Josh's impression was, yeah, there are special interests. Yeah, there are lobbyists. But people don't realize that one of the biggest lobbying arms down there is government itself. Are these lobbyists that are
on the basis of the subtle and sophisticated understanding that if you step in to do something about them, you not only may make them worse, but you will spread your tentacles and get bad results elsewhere.
I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
You're listening to the Paul Harrell Program, brought to you by Conduit Media Group.
Hey, folks, welcome to the program today. Happy Monday. Welcome to the show. My name is Paul. You have found the intersection of conservative ideas and reality. We are building a liberty machine, and we are glad that you're with us. We're glad that you're listening. And if you want to contribute to the conversation today, one of the ways you can do that is to give us a phone call or a text message. The number, as always, 870-275-9799. That's 870-275-9799. I hope everyone had a good Memorial Day weekend. I was just talking with somebody that was upset at some people's pet peeve when you wish somebody a happy Memorial Day because of it's about honoring those who gave the last full measure of devotion, our soldiers. And I said, I don't understand if that, I've never heard that be a pet peeve, but somebody said, that it was. And I would just say, it's a holiday. You have the day off because I did see one meme that said, enjoy your day at the beach because of their day at the beach. And it compared modern day beach life with what happened in Normandy. I feel like that was really appropriate. But anyway, I hope everyone had a great 3-day weekend, specifically for remembering the reason that we can be free, and it's because it's because we had people that were before us, that went before us, that were not apathetic, that were not people that just sat around and hoped the problem would solve itself. They were men of action. Again, that number 870-275-9799. We've analyzed the spending problem that the state has had for the last couple of weeks. The spending problem that I think is very underreported by the mainstream media. I don't know if there's been a deal made. I don't know what the issue is. There were members of the statewide media that did report when Governor Asa Hutchinson had to cut $70 million from this year's budget and $43 million from next year's budget. There were some that reported that, but they didn't go. They didn't. It just kind of stopped at that. There was no attempt to, put all of this into perspective. There was no attempt to say, hey, should we have increased spending? I don't know if anybody but me that said, well, the governor has increased spending every single year he's been in office, and then we had to cut the money, and it's like nobody was willing to put those two together, and I found that odd. found that very strange. So you got the task farce, right? The tax farce. And they're going to be supposedly deciding how much money to take from us. I mean, that's really what I believe is going to happen at this point. But there are people on it. I know Representative Dotson's on it, and Senator Bart Hester is on this tax farce. And remember, this was an effort to ward off actually doing any tax reform legislation this last session. Well, the Department of Finance and Administration, which is DFNA, that's what they're called. The Department of Finance and Administration recently fired off a letter. Let's see, what's the dated? May 2nd. All right. So this is, basically a month old. So it's not real recent. And the Department of Finance, to the Honorable Bart Hester, co-chair, the Honorable Jim Dotson, co-chair, Joint Committee on Economic and Tax Policy, dear Senator Hester and Representative Dotson. And they write, in accordance with provisions of the Arkansas Code, I'm attaching table summarizing the May 2nd, 2017 revision to the official general revenue forecast for fiscal years 2017, 2018, and 2019. Okay, so three years here. It writes, a reduction in the fiscal year 2017 forecast of $70 million is required in smaller revisions in the following year, which were $43 million. The forecast revision, based on results from April collections and updated economic assumptions, are included in the attached tables, along with details of the revised revenue forecast for fiscal years 2018 through 2019. Other changes from newly enacted tax laws and technical changes since the last forecast revision are also included. So let's get to the first forecast, okay? Fiscal year 2017. Net available revenues are expected to reach $5.2 billion, an annual decrease of $104.7 million, or negative 2% below fiscal year 2016. Okay, so we're 2% below what we were in 2016. This amount reflects projected refunds to continue to exceed forecast. Listen to this: sales tax collections to remain flat, and that shortfalls from the first 6 months of the fiscal year will not be recovered. Now, knowing that kind of puts the reason they were going after all that revenue into a lot more perspective, doesn't it? I mean, when you read DFNA, doesn't it put a lot more, motivation in perspective, into view? It frames it nicely as to why they raised your taxes on tires. They created a new tax on tires. Why they, did the veterans tax cut to make you think, it was a tax cut, when in reality they created a digital downloads tax. Then they tried to go after all internet purchases. I mean, it was a quest for revenue, and I think we know the answers, because Republicans were at the helm and they realized, oh, no, we have spent too much money and now we're going to have to cut the budget. Of course, they did. But there's more to this DFNA letter here, because we get a little bit of an insight into what those who are in government, what they're counting on. I mean, this is what the government says, an agency that's, under the executive branch. This is what the government says the facts are at this point. This is what they're anticipating. This is supposedly what they are using to make decisions going forward. For fiscal year 2018, the letter goes on, net available revenues are expected to reach $5.4 billion. An annual increase of $190.1 million, or 3.6% above fiscal year 2017. So for next year, for the budget that begins, at the end of June, they are predicting a 3.6% increase. And they write, quote, "This amount reflects updates to the economic forecast, a total net revenue increase of $6.3 million from tax law changes by the regular session of the 91st General Assembly, and a reduction in the fee deduction rate from gross revenue for state central services and constitutional officers fund." So that's a growth, right? So they're expecting more. They're expecting 3.6% above what we have basically at this point last year, or the last fiscal year. And the question remains, my question would be, do you think things are going to grow at 3.6%? Do you think we're going to get anywhere near that level of gross domestic product increase? And what it's basically saying to me is, dear Senator Hester and Representative Dotson, if we don't get 4% growth, we're broke. That's how I interpret it. For fiscal year 19, net available revenues are expected to reach $5.6 billion, an annual increase of $237 million, or 4.3% above fiscal year 2018. Wow. Okay. So those are the hopes, those are the wishes, those are the government estimates. You and I both know the government estimates are known for their accuracy and known for their just historical, hindsight. If you go back and look at government estimates, it's just such an example of honesty. Such an example of hitting the mark, perfection. You're picking up my sarcasm. I hope you are. Again, the phone number, 870-275-9799. So this report from this letter here, it got me thinking. What is this really about? What's the tax force really about, or the tax farce really about? I think they're going to try to raise their taxes because that's what they just tried to do. They just tried to raise their taxes. And are we to expect that this idea of raising revenue is all of a sudden going to go away because they have the tax farce? I think that's. I don't think anybody could be. I feel like it's a very logical leap to make. That if they just tried, the leadership just tried to get more of our money, and now they have a special group of legislators who get these special privileges, and they're still in the leadership. I just don't think those ideas are all of a sudden going to vanish. I think we're going to have to face them again. And this time they'll have all of this data. They'll hire these consultants to tell them exactly what they want to hear so that they can raise their taxes. That's my fear, and I hope I eat crow. I hope I eat crow because that would mean that taxes are actually going to go down and government's going to shrink. And that would be great. We have less money to the government would inevitably mean less regulation, less responsibility. The government thinks it has the right to proclaim, to protect you and your name or whatever it is. That's the goal. That's the goal for me anyway. I know it's the goal for most of you. This letter, though, got me thinking about what the real reason for all this revenue is, and we've talked about it before, but it has to be said. When you increase the size of Arkansas government at the largest factors, in 100 years, or the largest, some say the largest increase of government in Arkansas history, which was taking a program, that was taking Medicaid from 700,000 to 1 million people. That's essentially what they've done. They've put a third of Arkansans on Medicaid. 300,000 of them, of that 300,000 number in the expansion, able to work adults with no dependent children. So I got to thinking about some senators who used to actually talk about what was going to happen. It's really weird. If you go back before 2013, you can find a lot. You can find a lot of these folks who ended up supporting the growth in government that I'm talking about right now, Medicaid expansion. But before 2013, they were very dead set against it. But even if you can find one in 2014, Senator John Cooper, he's a Republican from Jonesboro, and he ran his entire campaign in a special election against the private option, and then he got down to Little Rock and completely changed his tune and completely changed his mind. But before that, shortly after he won, he did a few interviews, and I came across this clip, and this is what I had it titled, John Cooper, Private Option Will Require Raising Taxes or Cutting Services. I want you to listen to this. I believe this was a true statement then, and I think it's a true statement now, but I think we can verify that it's true now based on recent actions and attempted action by the General Assembly down in Little Rock. Here's John Cooper on May 29th of 2014.
Per capita income is stagnant and has been for a long time. At the same time, we're expanding government, the most it's ever been expanded in, I guess, history of the state.
Yeah.
We're doing it at a time that economically we're stagnant, and that's a very bad sign. And there is no revenue stream that anybody knows going forward in 2 to 3 years how this is going to be paid for, and there's only 3 options really that are possible. One is undo what you've done, cut services somewhere else to pay for it, or raise taxes astronomically, and all of those are bad options.
I mean, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. There's a couple of things we can talk about that. Economically, we're stagnant. This was in 2014. Now, that is not the narrative that Republicans advance now. Today, Republicans don't say that. They say, "Oh, we've got a 3.5% unemployment rate." You know, I got to find this article because I need to have it. Maybe I'll find it over the break. But I found an article this week. I came across one this weekend that talked about how many Dollar Generals have been built and have been opened, and how and what percentage of the entire U.S. economy, actually the new growth is actually in dollar stores. And it kind of plays, because I've been saying, we got 3.5% unemployment, but did somebody build a lot of McDonald's that I'm not aware of? That I've been saying that for the last couple of weeks, and it dawned on me, it's like, wow, okay, well if that's what's happened, you've got a lot of dollar stores opening up. My point being, it doesn't feel like we have 3.5% unemployment rate, which is essentially full employment, right? It's essentially full employment. And yet, we have them saying and now admitting that the tax money that they're giving away to private companies to try to lure them here, they don't have the jobs for them. They're not going to have the skilled workforce for them. It's a very strange. That piece of audio, though, is still true today because we are still economically stagnant because the governor just had to cut money from the budget because the government didn't get the money they thought they were going to get after they just finished trying to raise our taxes. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Folks, if you've ever thought about getting your real estate license, becoming a licensed real estate agent, I have good news. The folks at the Northeast Arkansas Real Estate School, they want you to know they make learning the business easy and fun. They teach interactive classes based on real-world situations, and you can do it all with only 6 days of class. And here's the best part about the Northeast Arkansas Real Estate School is that they'll travel anywhere in the state of Arkansas and set up shop and start the process, so you can earn extra income now that'll become very lucrative for your family tomorrow, potentially. You can go to the website, neaprofessionalschools.com. That's neaprofessionalschools.com. If you didn't want to take the class in, 6 days of class, you can take the test. And if you didn't want to do all that, you could just take the class online. Because they do that. But you can check out class times. You can schedule classes, all of that at neaprofessionalschools.com. They have financing available. And here's the thing. If you mention my name, Paul, you get 10% off the cost of your class. 870-336-4155. That's 870-336-4155. neaprofessionalschools.com. Back in a moment.
The Paul Harrell Program.
Come to Triple R Furniture and see our sofas, recliners, bedroom suites, and more. At Triple R Furniture, we'll deliver up to 50 miles away, and we're here to help you with all of your furniture needs. Triple R Furniture gives you the option to buy furniture outright or rent to own. We strive to make the financing process as easy as possible, which is why everyone is approved. At Triple R Furniture, we offer financing terms for 3 months, 6 months, and 9 months. We also offer a manager special. Come see us at the Highland Shopping Center in Highland, Arkansas for details. Customer satisfaction is our top priority at Triple R Furniture. Call us today at 870-856-8003 or find us on the web at triplrfurniture.com.
Arkansas small businesses are tired of taxes that are too high and regulations that work as obstacles to small business success. If you own a small business, it's time to take action. Now, I'm not talking about the local chambers of commerce. I'm talking about an organization that's actually run by small business owners and are fighting for small businesses right here in the state of Arkansas. They're called Conduit for Action, and they're on your side. Conduit for Action is here not to get something from the government, but to be left alone by the government. Think of them as your personal advocate for limited government at the Capitol in Little Rock. If you're tired of all the politicians talking with no results and ready for action, start outsourcing your government affair needs with Conduit for Action. Go now to conduitforaction.org and click on Contact Us on the right side of the page. That's conduitforaction.org and stand up for small business in Arkansas. Do you need to advertise your business product or service, but not sure what the best choice is? Folks, allow me to introduce you to talk radio. You're listening to it right now. Talk radio is one of the most unique mediums in all of advertising because it actually works. It gets the information you want to the people you want to get it to. And by the way, those people are educated, well-informed decision makers of their household, and most of them have disposable income. If this is a target audience for your business, then you have to consider advertising on my show, The Paul Harrell Program. We have options for most any budget and can provide you with exciting opportunities to grow your business. We can put your message across the state, or we can help you locally. Call 870-275-9755 if you have any questions. That's 870-275-9755, or visit my website, paulharrell.com, and click on Advertise.
The Paul Harrell Program.
Here's an interesting text message that we get. Somebody writing, I buy my gas. Let me see. People can buy their tires out of state. Same listener, I buy my gas out of state as well. Well, so there you go. I mean, I guess listeners like this that, want to buy their tires, I guess you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem. That's what they would say. You tax cheat, you not wanting to pay your taxes. Folks, it's not a bad thing that people go where the better deal is. It's not a bad thing. It isn't. The government the government has this concept that they're allowing you to keep, that they believe they have the right to take it all if they want to. And that the laws are on the books to allow you not to decide how much to take from you, but to decide how much you're allowed to keep. And those are two different mentalities. And one of them speaking of perpetuating government growth, I got a fantastic discussion about highway funding, school funding, how this sets up this whole process where the government continues to grow over and over and over. 870-275-9799. We have to take another commercial break, but we will be right back here in just a moment. Don't go anywhere. Thank you so much for listening. lobbyists, and I it comes to mind. Our friend, mutual friend Josh Waters from Political Strategies, he was on the program yesterday, but a few interviews back, when we got his impression of the session, it was his first time really in-depth down at the Marble Palace every day covering the session. He's in committee rooms. He's speaking on behalf of Conduit for Action and, economic freedom filter. Does it grow government? Does it spend money we don't have? Does it increase dependency on government? That's the defense of whether or not a piece of legislation is good or not. And Josh's impression was, yeah, there are special interests. Yeah, there are lobbyists. But people don't realize that one of the biggest lobbying arms down there is government itself. Are these lobbyists that are actually from the bureaucracies that are taxpayer funded, and they're trying to protect their existence.
That actually probably is the biggest lobbying arm. That is a great point. It is not the major corporations. The major corporations, the hospitals, the Centene, whatever, of the world, the healthcare organizations, the nursing homes. In specific areas, he's right. They will come into play. But on the overall, it is government itself. It's education department. Look behind the Capitol. You got building after building. I mean, car after car. There, layers and layers of bureaucracy. That thing is like, it's like a medium-sized corporation. I'm talking about the education department, state education department. In and of itself is like some, mini Google campus back there. Well, guess what? They've got all kind of lobbyists up there making sure they don't get any of their pie cut. They're the ones that beat back the school choice because, man, they can't. They got $10,000 or $11,000 per student per year, and the schools are in a sinkhole, but they want more.
Yeah.
And they've got 7 superintendents when 2 could do the job, and yet teachers are having to work to pay their own. A lot of them are working, their entire check goes to pay their insurance, while a lot of these districts have 7, 8, 10 superintendents. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you are exactly right. And then, of course, you got the keeping up the Jones scenario where we got to have this new indoor football facility or this new and at some point it's hey, are we there to teach the kids? I'm all for organized sports, don't get me wrong, but I mean, come on, reading, writing, arithmetic. I mean, that's your main goal. And I've talked to some legislators that get it. They will admit in public that we have gone off course, especially constitutionally, from what the government's responsibility actually is in the Arkansas Constitution when it's concerning education. But this all just comes back to the role of government, and it takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of money to run that government. So back to the task force or the tax farce, as I'm calling it. They now are in a position, and this is.
Watch Paul live at paulharrell.com. It's free and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because the Liberty Machine never sleeps.
All right, listen to this one more time. This is because in searching for this particular audio clip that you heard in the last long segment of Senator John Cooper, okay, who is part of the Republican establishment now. He didn't run on a campaign like that. I mean, he ran grassroots activist elected John Cooper because he campaigned in a conservative manner. But in finding this audio clip, I also ran across a whole bunch of others in the video library. But let's start with this one because this clip reflects the fiscal reality of 2017.
Per capita income.
But it was back in 2014 when he was still uttering campaign rhetoric after he had just recently won in the special election.
It's stagnant and has been for a long time. At the same time, we're expanding government, the most it's ever been expanded in, I guess, history of the state.
Yeah.
We're doing it at a time that economically we're stagnant, and that's a very bad sign. And there is no revenue stream that anybody knows going forward in 2 to 3 years how this is going to be paid for. And there's only 3 options really that are possible. One is undo what you've done, cut services somewhere else to pay for it, or raise taxes astronomically, and all of those are bad options.
All right. Again, doesn't that explain everything? We're not good economically, despite what they're trying to tell you. It just doesn't make sense, right? It doesn't make any sense. I told you about the Dollar General or the dollar stores is what it was. This was 3 days ago. Dollar General accounts for 80% of all new store openings in the U.S. So that was the statistic. So when they talk about this 3.5% unemployment rate, we at least need to ask, well, what kind of jobs are those that people are getting? 1 week ago, when looking at the latest Fitch forecast of retailers most likely to file bankruptcy next, we listed the hundreds of store closures already announced in 2017 between various bankruptcies and still solvent retail chains. It goes on to talk about, what about new store openings? After all, on a net basis, the U.S. retail industry has to still be growing. Here we have some good and bad news. First, the good news, according to a recent analyst by Bank of America, in which the bank analyzes both store openings and closings for the same sample of 33 retailers that it's analyzed since 2007, it finds that the projected net new store count for 2017 is 1,041, which is lower than last year's actual 1,109, while the net number of 1,041 openings this year is lower than the 10-year average of 1,386. Nevertheless, the numbers are still positive. That's what Bank of America said. You could decide if that's spin or not. But then you get to this statistic. Of the 1,041 stores expected set to open in 2017, 80%, or 810 of them, belong to the one retail chain that focuses exclusively on America's poorest individuals. Now, my question would be, does that mean if it's 80% of the store openings this year are Dollar Generals, according to studies, is that close to 80% of the jobs created too? Is it close to 80% of new employment? That's a fair question that I don't think establishment Republicans want to answer. Not to mention, let's talk about raising taxes or cutting services. That's exactly what they just tried to do, because we now have to pay for this. We now have to pay for expanded Medicaid that Asa Hutchinson and Senator John Cooper declined to lead us out of. And I know they're going to say, well, we just, asked the Trump administration for these, part-time work requirements. And yes, you did. Yes, you did. But the thing that you should have done was actually end the program, end it, scale it back, because you and I both know that people are going to find a way to stay on this program. The welfare cliff just becomes a different cliff at this point. And if you look at we went over all of the work requirements that are in this thing. I mean, you can easily work this system to where you don't really do anything. And so anyway, we're going to find out that if you really want something for free, you will do a lot of things to get it and to stay on the program. That's my 2 cents anyway. Here's some more audio that I found that I feel like is fascinating when you go back and you look at people who now support this program and went back on their word of ending it. Again, this is audio from 2014.
I have no doubt anytime you have a magnet, you're going to draw whatever's attracted to it, and I think we are becoming a magnet.
We're becoming a magnet.
Mr. Hutchison or Ross gets in, we're still fighting the private
Dale
option
Hoffman,
in that office.
Right.
No matter,
in this interview, questioning John Cooper.
Help.
Well, I don't know.
You think Mr. Hutchison would change his mind?
I don't know. I think going forward, the debate is going to go on, and my hope is that people will see the light going forward that have been either advocates of the private option before and have voted for it. I think as we go forward, the numbers will be clear of what's happening here, and hopefully the conversation will come our way, and we will change the minds of some people.
Now, the reality was changing the minds were, all of the people who were against this got co-opted. Not all of them, but most of them got co-opted into buying into that phony Jim Hendren, pass my bill and it's going to end it scheme, which was a complete, by the way, our whiteboard today says it spends it. Yeah, the numbers come out. That really didn't happen because the special interests ended up winning. There is some truth to the fact that now everybody agrees that what we're doing is fiscally unsustainable. And I just want all of you to know out there, just because you had your special session and you passed a part-time work requirement, that does not mean that the private option is all of a sudden fiscally sustainable. It is still unsustainable. It is still an unsustainable program. And you guys are hoping that your work requirements, part-time work requirements, get approved, and you guys are hoping that it somehow becomes sustainable. But here's the thing. Everything you have said about this program since 2013, everything you have said that has tried to reflect it in a conservative light has been wrong, has not come to pass, and I don't think anything different will happen this time. Call me crazy, but I think you guys are the ones that are actually crazy. Here's John Cooper, 2014, talking about a welfare cliff.
Oh, I think the two cliffs there will definitely impact people's promotions and wage progression. At the same time, you have an incentive to not increase the employee's wages. Mm-hmm. The employer, at the same time, is incentivized not to give them those raises. Mm. So you got a double whammy there that we've never had before on people. And the numbers I spoke of just a while ago, that plays into that.
Yeah, he's certainly right there. What has changed to make that statement not true, aside from John Cooper's opinion probably about his own statement, or his opposite? We'll just say he might even still agree with that. I don't know, but his opposition to Obamacare Medicaid expansion, but now his support of it. John Cooper says, let's see, what else do I have? I got another audio clip of him. This was him back in 2014 as well. It might have been a debate the end of 2013. I can't remember when that special election was. It was in January of 2014. So anyway, just about the turn of 13 into 14, he said this.
First of all, I'd say I'm opposed to the private option. It is Obamacare in Arkansas, and Obamacare from the beginning to the end is an unworkable act. It is a gathering of power, and it will not provide the health care that we need. If we accept this, we are putting Arkansas on the hook for a couple of years. There is a short-term savings, but a couple of years down the road, there is a crossover of costs, and then it's going to be very expensive. Secondly, the idea that this will reduce the amount of cost that is unreimbursed by emergency rooms is also false, because statistics now are showing that that's just not the case, that those costs are also rising regardless of whether or not the private option is incorporated. This is the implementation of the health care exchanges in Arkansas, which is the very fiber of Obamacare. And it is a system that right now is bouncing along on square wheels. It is very expensive. It's going to get more expensive. Premiums are going up and copays are going up. And just this morning we looked at our copay, and it was up tremendously.
Now that's Senator John Cooper, who won. He won election based on that debate and that statement and what he said. That was before the election. You heard the ones earlier that was after, where he still held the conservative opinion, and then by 2015, he went along with a plan that told conservatives that they were ending it, and in reality, it didn't end it. It kept the program just like I said it was going to, just like others said it was going to. And now, yada, 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 the governor has to cut $70 million and $43 million. Yada, 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 they have to be Republicans and find ways to contort their opinions in order to advocate for higher taxes. It's been a disaster. You see, these people thought they could deviate from conservative principle one time in the name of pragmatism, and it's like deviating from your principles required you to deviate the next time and the next time and the next time and the next time, all because you don't want to admit that growing government for able-to-work adults it's not a right, and it's not the responsibility of the government. And that's the truth of the matter, is you violated your principle one time, and then everything else, you just have to continue the lies, so you got to tell more lies. Let's go from 2014 to 2015, where Marcus Richmond, State Representative Marcus Richmond, he took to the floor to speak against Senator Jim Hendren and the establishment's attempt to fool everyone. He said this.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Get this down to my height. Colleagues, I certainly appreciate this opportunity to come before you, because I have to say I'm very concerned about this bill. When I ran for office, one of the promises I made was that I would do what I could to put an end to the private option. Now, of course, you're going to sit out there and say that's exactly what this bill is doing. It's in black and white. We're going to end the private option. But the short time that I have been here, what I have learned is that sometimes words have meaning, sometimes words don't have meaning. That what is true today will not necessarily be true tomorrow. Case in point. 2 short years ago, legitimate questions were asked by some members that if we implement the private option, could the state be open to litigation if we tried to close it down early? The answer came back, no. We have protections within this that's going to prevent that from happening. Fast forward 2 years to the present time, and we asked the question, well, if we end this early, 2015 instead of 2016, or we put a moratorium, the answer comes back that the cows will stop milking, the chickens will stop laying eggs, and that the lawyers will absolutely fill up the halls with litigation.
You remember that lie?
Now, one time before I came here, I would have thought that somebody was misleading somebody. But being exposed to the mysteries and mysticisms of the state capitol, I have learned that there are old truths and new truths. 2 years ago, we were operating on the old truth. Today, we operate on the new truth. New truths such as, I just learned that we saved $900 million with this program. And I thought, that is tremendous, that is great, but I'm disappointed. If only it would have been $920 million. Then we would have been able to keep the promise that was made 2 years ago about the capital tax gain.
Burn.
We would be able to have that same sign hanging on the door of Arkansas saying, welcome, we're open for business. But we had to make arrangements because we just missed it by this much. 900 instead of 920. So what concerns me about the future is...
By the way, those same games went on this last session with the military veteran tax cut and everything else, $13 million hit to the budget. They can't find $13 million we can't find the $13 million, so we got to raise your taxes somewhere else in order to give the military retirees. And yet, the governor cut $70 million like that. He cut $43 million like that. Completely exposing them as manipulators. They just manipulate the information they circulate to the state representatives and state senators, and then they bully them into submission, all hoping they don't see that the big R at the end of Asa Hutchinson's name that stands for Republican is a false god, and that you should just do and govern the way you told people that you would govern, instead of being afraid of men in powerful positions. 870-275-9799, finishing up with this audio.
Whether or not in 2017 we will be operating under today's truth, or will there be a new truth?
No, it's another new truth.
Why?
It was
because we
reinvented
refuse
again.
to put a moratorium on enrollment, and therefore, if we're not going to stop something that has 200,000 enrollees today, who will have the courage to stop it when it's between 300 and 400,000 in 2017?
State Representative Marcus Richmond, let me just say, he was absolutely correct. 200,000 people, they couldn't end the program then. It got up to 330, mid-30,000, couldn't end the program then. He's exactly right. He's exactly right. State Representative Marcus Richmond is exactly right. And, he voted against this, and history's proven him right. All the establishment Republicans voted for it. They've been proven wrong. It's fiscally unsustainable. You can't do this. It can't continue down this path. And State Representative Marcus Richmond here is also correct that they continually change the narrative. They continually just manipulate the facts, and the media doesn't do anything. Matter of fact, because the media agrees with growing government, they like the fact that they continue to hold up the same guys in, quote, leadership, and they never question their credibility about what they said this program was going to be then versus now. So the mainstream media never calls them out and saying, hey, these guys are wrong. They don't really even know what they're doing, because everything they say has not come to pass. And that's mainly because the mainstream media doesn't focus on the conservative messaging side of these Republicans, what they tell their base. Hey, let us grow government now, we'll shrink it later. They don't even see the world in those terms, so they don't really care, and they're kind of happy. The mainstream media is happy when establishment Republicans lie to conservatives and conservatives buy it. They believe the ends justify the means. They are happy when that happens.
Again, the one thing that this bill will do that I'm absolutely certain that it's going to do is it will strike forever the words private option. We will never be allowed to utter those words anywhere in this Capitol.
Yeah, that's when he talks about changing the name to Arkansas Works. Really good stuff from a flashback in 2015, and also an interesting audio from Senator John Cooper when he was running. And by the way, this is one thing that John Cooper did say real quick on the night he was elected.
What do you think, if anything, this election says about what the voters of Northeast Arkansas think about the private option?
Well, I think our opponent made it about the private option, and obviously it's been rejected.
We got to go to break, ladies and gentlemen. Back in just a moment.
The Paul Harrell Program, brought to you by Conduit Media Group.
Whether you're looking for a small desktop copier and printer, thinking about adding color to your documents, or considering a document management solution, Total Document Solutions is there to help. In business for decades, Total Document Solutions is an independently owned company that specializes in the ability to provide a high level of service in Northwest Arkansas, the Arkansas River Valley, Southwest Missouri, and Southeast Kansas as an exclusive Platinum Authorized Sales Agent for the Xerox Corporation. At Total Document Solutions, they offer customers technology services to improve business results. Their dedicated sales team has the unmatched industry knowledge, professionalism, and expertise needed to address the unique challenges challenges of your business. Total Document Solutions is independent, local, and well-connected to serve your office products and document needs. Call them today at 479-575-0770. That's 479-575-0770 for your Total Document Solutions.
This is Common Sense and Liberty. I'm Donnie Copeland. The Republican Party of Arkansas has something called a platform, and it's basically what they believe. Things like lower taxes, right to own and bear arms, encouraging individual responsibility and initiative. Yet in this legislative session, we see Republicans fighting against the right to own and bear arms by amending over and over the campus carry bill. We see instead of lowering taxes and fees being raised 8 different times. We see the attack against individual responsibility and initiative by continuing to embrace Obamacare Medicaid expansion called Arkansas Works. So what we need is not conservatives or not Republicans, because those names don't seem to mean anything anymore. We need platform Republicans. This is Donnie Copeland for Common Sense and Liberty.
In Arkansas, every single hour there is a politician not getting what they want. For some, it's an absolute nightmare. The sleepless nights wondering if progress will ever come. Lying awake pondering how to grow government in this political climate. Asking questions like, why don't my constituents want to pay a few cents more in taxes? Everyday politicians feel abused and neglected. These politicians are starving for power. They're hungry, confused, and they don't understand why no one seems to care. Will you be a patriot and commit today to help these poor, starved for power public officials? It's simple. All you have to do is commit to stay silent and never dissent or stand in the way of your politicians' rise to power. Never speak up or get engaged to stop the growth of government. By committing to these simple steps, you will ensure the life of your politician will be filled with contentment and the respect they are desperately seeking, as well as campaign contributions from lobbyists.
This message brought to you by Aristocrats Serving Arkansas.
PHP Parody.
Obviously, there's no such thing. It's not real to say that there's old truth and new truth. Okay, I mean that's not the truth. The truth is always the truth. But this old clip here of Marcus Richmond talking about new truth versus old truths, he is pointing out an absurdity that is. Well, let me just the absurdity he points out is what the Republican leadership relies on to govern. They are relying on absurdity. They are relying on the absence of logic. They are relying on moral relativism. They're I mean, you know what I mean? They're just not necessarily moral, but relativism. They're just it just depends on how you look at it. You know, this idea that there is no objective truth, that there is, you know, that, and it's really frustrating, and that's why I feel like you see just a lot of chaos. Now, they don't want you to, I mean, they want you to think everything is fine, that everything is actually better than fine, that we're doing exactly what we told the people of the state we would do. That is not the truth. The truth is they are doing everything to maintain the status quo and not fix the problems that we all sent them down there to fix. One more hour coming your way next. Thanks for listening.
Rush Glenn, Sean, and Paul. This is Jonesboro's 1013 FM News Talk, KBTM.
All this comes back to the role of government. And it takes a lot of money. It takes a lot of money to run that government. So back to the task force, or the tax farce, as I'm calling it. They now are in a position, and this is just a theory. It's a working theory that I have, Donnie. But you know, you had Bart Hester, who's on the task force, but he had legislation that he was going to run at the beginning that actually, you know, was about cutting taxes. I believe Charlie Collins in the House had some too. They were both working on it together. But on day number 2, the governor had the joint session. He said, nope, we're not going to do it. You're going to pass my tax cut plan, which is for people who make $21,000 or less, which is fine. But, I mean, come on. They don't really pay any taxes anyway. They make $21,000 or less. What about the job creators? What about the small businesses? Those were left out. And instead, Asa had the tax farce idea. Hey, this is what we're going to do. Now, in the meantime, they sold the conservatives once again. They even got some middle of the road people that actually believe in good fiscal policy to back off and say, all right, we'll study it in a tax farce. In the meantime, the governor's had to cut the budget $70 million from this year because we don't have the money because he's overspent. He's had to cut the budget for next year $43 million because we don't have the money because we've overspent. And now I'm wondering, is that the reason why Jeremy Gillum, if what you say is true, he got his marching orders from the governor, he's starting the very first tax farce meeting, and he has to say, don't believe the media reports. This is not about a mandate to cut taxes, and then changes a very specific phrase, tax cut, and changes it to reform and relief. Now, I'm all about relief, but relief might mean the government needs relief. I mean, they could change that any way they want. What are your thoughts?
Well, you make a great point, and here's why. When you look at, and I sat in a presentation, you mentioned Josh Waters. He put on a phenomenal presentation the other night. And when you look at the amount of overspending, $163 million before the $40 million was cut out, so $123 million effectively. And of that $123 million, 95% of that was going to DHS. Why? To go to the Medicaid Trust Fund. Why? Because we gave free insurance to healthy, non-working young adults who didn't work. I know that's redundant, but they don't work, and so we gave them free health insurance, and now we're having to pay the piper. But he can't. The governor can't show his hand. He can't admit that. So he has to start moving all this stuff around, i.e. the military tax cut, and then he loads in the soda tax and the candy tax, and then he goes on and on, the tire tax.
Yeah.
Digital downloads. Now we're having a tax farce, and I would contend, I think you're nailing it. This was originally set up for people to automatically assume this was to cut taxes. I don't think there'll be much cutting at all. I don't think they can cut. I think it's going to be shifting. I think it's going to be raising. I think it's going to be fees. They're looking under every rock to find revenue for this disaster that they've created by insisting to give healthy young people free insurance. And it's coming home to roost, and they can't admit it. So what they got to do, they've got to. The farce is don't ever quit saying that. I know that can seem like it becomes trite.
Well, it drives.
But don't quit saying it because that's what it is.
Hey, I think it drives some of the Republican Party and the leadership kind of nuts. They don't like for me to say it, but I'm going to continue to say it. It's what it is. The last the task force was a tax farce. I'm sorry. I see. I'm getting confused. The health care task force was a task farce, and this new task force on taxes is a tax farce. And I'm going to keep saying it because every time they whittle down a full republic, a legislative body, 135 down to 14, 15 people so that they can become special legislators, and now you have fewer people to buy, fewer people to lobby, because we all know whatever the recommendation is, that's what is going to be passed into law. It makes it easier on the lobbyists. It makes it easier for the government bureaucrats to manipulate them with information that is quite honestly, Donnie, you were a state representative. Many times 6 months down the road, you find out that bureaucrat A, B, or C actually lied to you from a committee, inside a committee, right? I mean, some of that time the information.
I had them sit there beside me and bald-faced lie. Knew they were lying. They knew they were lying. I knew they were lying, and the committee chairman knew that we all knew they were lying. And it's like, but it doesn't matter. That's why I introduced a bill that it was a felony to lie in a committee. And my own committee members act like I had, I don't know, pulled a.
The maintenance of a free society is a very difficult and complicated thing, and it requires a self-denying ordinance of the most extreme kind. It requires a willingness to put up with temporary evils on the basis of the subtle and sophisticated understanding that if you step in to do something about them, you not only may make them worse, but you will spread your tentacles and get bad results elsewhere.
I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. We lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves.
You're listening to the Paul Harrell Program, brought to you by Conduit Media.
It is hour number 2. Thank you so much for being with us. My name is Paul Harrell, and you have found the intersection of conservative ideas and reality where we are building a liberty machine. And one of the ways you can help us do that is to call us or text us 870-275-9799. Rick in Marion County. Rick in Marion County writes, how come they didn't have a task force for the $23 million in bonuses they're about to give out? Rick, my friend, thank you for, first of all, listening and paying attention to the news. We have not gotten to this story yet. Workers for the state are to receive bonuses. Michael Wickline, this after the first hour where we talked about how we actually don't have any money and the economic forecasts are, they need a lot of growth in order to meet in the next couple of fiscal years what they say that they're going to meet. Workers for the state to receive bonuses. There's room in the budget, according to the governor. This Michael Wickline piece, 21,770 state government employees will be eligible next month for merit bonuses of up to 3% of pay based on their performance evaluations. Despite a $70 million cut in the state's general revenue budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, these employees who work for state agencies but not for the colleges or universities aren't receiving a cost of living raise in 2017. I made the decision to provide merit pay this year to state employees because our new pay plan is not yet in effect, and the current budget planned for merit pay is sufficient to cover it, Governor Asa Hutchinson said in a written statement on, anyone? Friday. Yes, that's when you do things like this. At the end of the week and on the Memorial Day weekend, no less. That's a pretty smart play. It's a pretty smart play. I mean, the only thing I can think would be smoother than that is having a special election today, like Tuesday after Memorial Day. Yeah. Christmas is on a Monday this year. That'd probably be worse. Like, oh, we're back at work. It's the 26th. Oh, man. All right. So, this is going to make people upset. Look, I know we talk. I mean, look. It's exhausting for me to expose all of this constantly. I mean, it's exhausting for me to just expose how we're not moving in a good direction. And I think things are worse because we have people who are worshiping the mighty R because, you have political power and you don't want to vote principle all of a sudden. Several lawmakers said the state employees deserve the merit bonuses and had no quibble with Hutchinson's decision to grant them as the fiscal year draws to a close. Now, one of these, Brian King is even quoted. "I have no problem with giving merit bonuses," Brian King said, who is a critic of the governor. "When it comes to state employees, they are the most vital part of state government." Senator Bart Hester, Republican Cave Springs, said that the guys in the trenches deserve a little bump up each year. He said he wishes the governor had the discretion not to grant merit bonuses to higher paid employees. Senator Larry Teague, Democrat, "State employees ought to be fairly compensated, and they have got used to getting the merit raise, and I think it helps them," end quote. My only point would be, it just seems like there's always a reason for the government to act. Well, it helps them. Well, it's vital for them. Or, I'm not so sure. Just in the concept of we just had a $70 million cut because we didn't have the money. Have a $43 million cut because we didn't have the money. Now, I don't know about you guys, but in your household, when you have to cut back, do you get more money or less money? That's a fair question. And I just think on the general principle of common sense in treating government the way we all want it to think of it the way we all want to think of it, or in the conservative idea of, why doesn't the government run like we run our households? I mean, if you've got to cut back, if you can't have this service or that service, you don't all of a sudden make more money because you just made cuts. It just doesn't make any sense, considering we're talking about takers. And look, I'm just saying that from a philosophical standpoint, your government job would not exist without private sector people going to work and paying taxes. You wouldn't, the government exists because of us, and the people who are in government, it seems like they exist in spite of us. It's like there's an adversarial relationship that's really created by the government, thinking that they're entitled to a certain portion of your income without necessarily being, there doesn't, the whole customer's always right thing. It does apply with some government agencies because there are great government agencies with hardworking people. Yeah, that happens, but the tendency is, we're a captive audience here. We're a captive audience. We have to do this, and so it doesn't really matter if the service is good or not. And I say that knowing that there are great government employees who want to do right by the taxpayer, and I'm thankful for those. I certainly am. But the tendency of government is to grow. And if you don't believe me, let me give you an example about what I mean. Okay, what I mean. I don't think government employees should be getting a raise when we're in what I think when we're spending too much money, when we've increased spending every year. Do you think government employees should be getting a raise when they just tried to raise their internet taxes? They did raise their tire taxes. They created new taxes on tires. They went after all of this revenue. They increased taxes on digital downloads, increased taxes on soda and candy, and then they use veterans as a prop to say you're against. Do you think our officials who just went after more of our money, and they succeeded and failed, depending on which issue you focus on, do you think a government that just did that, trying to take more of our money, needs to then spend what money they have to increase people's pay? I just think, doesn't there need to be an all stop? Don't we need to pump the brakes here? We don't even have a surplus. They're going around thinking like everything is fine. Like everything is fine. And there's always a good reason, right? You can always think of a good reason. Well, let me tell you why they need this. This is the thing. And we never, ever ask the question, or at least naturally, we don't ask the question of whether or not we can. But can we do it? That's like the that's like number 10 on the list. It's like number 1 is, well, it's the right thing to do. Well, it would be so nice if they had some extra money. Well, then finally it's like, well, is this a responsible thing to do? Can we actually do it? Like, if things going to work out if we do it? Well, the governor says it's in the budget, so it's fine. Moving on. Let me just give you an example of how government grows. Ready? This is how it happens. You guys are familiar with highway funding. Joe, the governor wants, let's play this. The governor wants to raise your taxes on gas, right? He wants to do it. He's going to say, well, no, I just want it to go out to the people. I just want the people to make a decision. Well, that means, he supports it. The guy's going to vote for it. He wants you to raise your own taxes on yourself to pay for roads, even though we passed a statewide 1 cent sales tax increase in 2012 for roads. We've already done this. And you keep increasing spending. He said this last week at the Rural Development Conference in Hot Springs.
Is infrastructure. And I know you had some legislators that had a good panel yesterday, and highways came up, and we didn't get it through this session of the General Assembly. In my view, we need to bring a highway plan to the voters in 2018 and put it on the ballot and give the voters an opportunity to develop a highway plan. And so I hope that you all will be open to that. I know there's some groups that are working on that.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see the same plan that was presented to the General Assembly that narrowly did not get out, that be presented on the ballot and give the voters that opportunity to vote on that plan.
Stop. So he still wants more of your money. He's not through. We can assume that this is going to bleed over into the tax farce. They're going to still want more of our money. They don't think they have enough. And the reality is, you want to know what the truth is? We have already given the government money to do these things. Let me say that again. We have already given the government money to do these things. We've already paid for it. We pay for it every year. And portions of this money are supposed to already go to do these things. So what are they doing? What priorities? Where are they misspending? And I would just like to say, maybe it has something to do with, well, it's such a good idea to give government, it's only $23 million or whatever it is. We got to raise government salaries. Let me expand on that a little bit, okay? Let's talk about how we have this trickle down government growth, okay? So the federal government taxes us relentlessly, right? I mean, let's just talk about the federal government for a second, right? They want to know what you do for a living. They not only want to know what you do for a living, they want to know how much you make at that living, and they have authority by law to put you in jail if you withhold that information and don't pay them money. If you don't file, if you don't report a little IRS form paying tribute to the government, letting them know, hey, I exist, and here's how much money I made, because that's your business. Here's how I made it, and here's the taxes. Here, I've paid you my taxes. Here you go. All right, so that's the first thing. Then you get things like the federal excise tax on tires. Then they're like, you know what? For you wealthy people that already made your money and you don't actually make any income anymore because you're so wealthy and you invest that money, we're going to need to tax those investments if you make any money on those investments. We're going to need to double tax that. Oh, by the way, when you're dead, we're going to take your money too. We need you to pay a death tax when you die. That's the federal government in a nutshell, and it's extremely outrageous. And so one of the things that federal excise tax on tires and let's not forget the excise tax on gasoline the federal government collects, it goes to fund highways, right? Doesn't it? It goes to fund highways. And so the federal government offers that money to the state of Arkansas and says, here you go, here's your money back. But wait. In order for you to get this money that we've collected, we need you, the state, to come up with $100 million, $200 million, $300 million to match that. So we have the money here for you, but in order for us to release it, you guys have to come up with $300, $200 million in order for us to give the money back to you. And once again, we've already paid the government to do these things. But no. They say, no, you haven't. So they go to the states, and they put the state in the position, and the state says, we got to go like Asa, and we got to go to the people and try to trick them into raising taxes on themselves so we can get that match rate, so we can get our money back. And it's a messed up process. I'm not here. I mean, it absolutely is a messed up process, but that doesn't mean that that lets our leaders off the hook, okay? Because they're still, they're going to spend $100 million on able-to-work adult had to have free health care that we're all paying for and paying higher premiums with, quote, private insurance companies. That's all happening right now, too. Hang on, Joe. We're waiting on this. So let's see what does the state do with that? Well, the state collects money for taxes, sales taxes, property tax. Well, we don't have a state property tax, but that's the local communities. The state has the sales tax collections. The state now wants to tax your tires again, along with the federal. The state taxes gas and does stuff like that, right? So their money all comes in. Used cars, that's stuff that should go to roads, if it's about something that drives on a road. We've already paid money for them to do these things. And then they use some of that tax money, sales tax money, that's going to fund the Department of Education here in Arkansas. And then they go to schools and they say, hey, schools, we've got some money for you. We're going to give you this money. But wait, before we give you this money, we're going to need you guys to come up with $50 million. Or, before we give you this money to build your building, we're going to need you to come up with $80 million. And the schools say, okay, we'll raise our millage and we'll have a bogus special election on Tuesday, December 26th, and we'll get that money for you. Now, do you understand the point I'm trying to make? Do you see how this perpetuates a problem? How the state is imitating what the federal government, vice versa? And this goes on and on and on. And I'm going to say it again. And this is what you should look your legislator in the eye and tell them when they start to advocate for taking more of your money to fund roads or to fund any other basic need. You need to say, hey, maybe you quit expanding the role of government for able-to-work adults' health care, and you realize that you have already collected my money to do these things like fund roads. You've already collected the money that was supposed to do it. So prioritize government spending the way it's supposed to be prioritized and stop continually inventing new things that you think you're responsible for when you're not. 870-275-9799. Back in a moment.
Triple R Furniture and see our sofas, recliners, bedroom suites, and more. At Triple R Furniture, we'll deliver up to 50 miles away, and we're here to help you with all of your furniture needs. Triple R Furniture gives you the option to buy furniture outright or rent to own. We strive to make the financing process as easy as possible, which is why everyone is approved. At Triple R Furniture, we offer financing terms for 3 months, 6 months, and 9 months. We also offer a manager special. Come see us at the Highland Shopping Center in Highland, Arkansas for details. Customer satisfaction is our top priority at Triple R Furniture. Call us today at 870-856-8003 or find us on the web at triplrfurniture.com.
Arkansas small businesses are tired of taxes that are too high and regulations that work as obstacles to small business success. If you own a small business, it's time to take action. Now, I'm not talking about the local chambers of commerce. I'm talking about an organization that's actually run by small business owners and are fighting for small businesses right here in the state of Arkansas. They're called Conduit for Action, and they're on your side. Conduit for Action is here not to get something from the government, but to be left alone by the government. Think of them as your personal advocate for limited government at the Capitol in Little Rock. If you're tired of all the politicians talking with no results and ready for action, start outsourcing your government affair needs with Conduit for Action. Go now to conduitforaction.org and click on Contact Us on the right side of the page. That's conduitforaction.org and stand up for small business in Arkansas. Whether you're looking for a small desktop copier and printer, thinking about adding color to your documents, or considering a document management solution, Total Document Solutions is there to help. In business for decades, Total Document Solutions is an independently owned company that specializes in the ability to provide a high level of service in Northwest Arkansas, the Arkansas River Valley, Southwest Missouri, and Southeast Kansas as an exclusive Platinum Authorized Sales Agent for the Xerox Corporation. At Total Document Solutions, they offer customers technology services to improve business results. Their dedicated sales team has the unmatched industry knowledge, professionalism, and expertise needed to address the unique challenges of your business. Total Document Solutions is independent, local, and well-connected to serve your office products and document needs. Call them today at 479-575-0770. That's 479-575-0770 for your Total Document Solutions.
The Paul Harrell Program.
Just talking about, welcome back to the program. Just talking about this article here. Let me read a little bit more for you. Let's see here. No, where did it go? Yeah, workers for state to receive bonuses. Let's see. Governor Hutchinson says he makes the decision. We got lawmakers who are really conservative, with really conservative voting records, and those that are not, okay with this. And I understand that. I disagree with it, though. And it's, for the reasons I just stated. We got a great text message then, though, because this is a great point. You're here. Does this mean that high-level government employees with large salaries, does that mean they're going to get this 3% raise? Lonnie in Sharp County. Lonnie from Sharp County writes this: Paul, did the DHS director just get an $8,400 raise? That's a great question. Joe, that's right. Yeah, she makes $280,000 a year. Cindy Gillespie from the international law firm Denton's, right? $280,000. And what is that? That's so yeah, 3%. Is that $8,400? Yeah. There you go. I'm terrible with math, specifically percentages. Really bad at it. But Lonnie in Sharp County's not. Joe fact checked you, Lonnie.
That's why you have me, Paul. Yep. I'm your math guy.
You really are. How do you? Why can you do math so easily?
Well,
is it a natural thing?
Big numbers. Well, kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. But big numbers like that, I have to actually put into a calculator because I don't have a built-in calculator in my brain to where I can just do it naturally like that.
Yeah, not
like the 280,000 and 3%. But most simple math I can do really easily, and just I understand math really well.
Yeah.
It's really easy for
me. I wish I did. Man, I was always the worst at it. I mean, I got worse as I got older, it seemed like. Well, it's like the harder I tried, the worse I got.
In high school, I was also really good at science, but I was absolutely awful at history and English.
You see, what's interesting about chemistry, awful, because you're combining math with science. Terrible, right? But biology, I was really good at, because biology, I would describe biology in high school and in college as just memorizing stuff, which I can do fairly well. Just,
People who excel at things like history, where they have to just learn facts over and over again, excel at biology.
Oh, they do? Okay. Well, that would make sense.
It's just facts you learn, memorize, and then
repeat. And this is how, like I still remember, cellular respiration, things like that. Osmosis, the definition of osmosis, the diffusion of water over selectively permeable membrane. That's what osmosis is. The powerhouse of the cell, Joe, is the mitochondria. See, I still remember this stuff. It was just the chemistry, though. Whoa, bad.
$123 million effectively. And of that $123 million, 95% of that was going to DHS. Why? To go to the Medicaid Trust Fund. Why? Because we gave free insurance to healthy, non-working young adults who didn't work. I know that's redundant, but they don't work, and so we gave them free health insurance, and now we're having to pay the piper. But he can't. The governor can't show his hand. He can't admit that. So he has to start moving all this stuff around, i.e. the military tax cut. Then he loads in the soda tax and the candy tax, and then he goes on and on, the tire tax.
Yeah.
Digital downloads. Now we're having a tax farce, and I would contend, I think you're nailing it. This was originally set up for people to automatically assume this was to cut taxes. I don't think there'll be much cutting at all. I don't think they can cut. I think it's going to be shifting. I think it's going to be raising. I think it's going to be fees. They're looking under every rock to find revenue for this disaster that they've created by insisting to give healthy young people free insurance. And it's coming home to roost, and they can't admit it. So what they got to do, they've got to. The farce is don't ever quit saying that. I know that can seem like it becomes trite.
Well, it
drives. But don't quit saying it because that's what it is.
Hey, I think it drives some of the Republican Party and the leadership kind of nuts. They don't like for me to say it, but I'm going to continue to say it. It's what it is. The last the task force was a tax farce. I'm sorry. I see I'm getting confused. The healthcare task force was a task farce, and this new task force on taxes is a tax farce. And I'm going to keep saying it because every time they whittle down a full republic, a legislative body, 135 down to 14, 15 people so that they can become special legislators, and now you have fewer people to buy, fewer people to lobby, because we all know whatever the recommendation is, that's what is going to be passed into law. It makes it easier on the lobbyists. It makes it easier for the government bureaucrats to manipulate them with information that is quite honestly, Donnie, you were a state representative. Many times, 6 months down the road, you find out that bureaucrat A, B, or C actually lied to you from a committee, inside a committee, right? I mean, some of that time the information.
I had them sit there beside me and bald-faced lie. Knew they were lying. They knew they were lying. I knew they were lying, and the committee chairman knew that we all knew they were lying. And it's like, but it doesn't matter. That's why I introduced a bill that it was a felony to lie in a committee. And my own committee members act like I had, I don't know, pulled the flag down off the flagpole or something and stomped on it. I mean, they were just aghast. They couldn't believe it. I was like, well, you got people lying, just make them tell the truth. But anywho. So,
yeah, I think that would have been a great idea. Why would they be scared of that unless they know that there would be less lying or people would be, put at risk. State representative.
But I'm going to tell you, Asa is good at what he does. Governor Hudson, he spent a lot of years in Washington. He knows how to appear to be conservative, and he's doing just the opposite, and it is a huge disservice to the people of the state.
Former state representative Donnie Copeland. I appreciate you coming on the program, sir. We'll do it again soon.
Thank you, Paul. Good to be here.
We are Travel With Us Jonesboro, the original travel agency.
The Paul Harrell Program.
Michael on Facebook writes, one of the greatest shows in the entire USA Michael, you are too kind. One of the greatest shows in the entire USA. What Paul is exposing about these Arkansas Republicans is what is happening nationwide. They lie to us continually and then act just like Democrats. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you listening. We can't do the program without you guys out there listening, and we'd ask that you tell your friends. And those of you watching on Facebook, feel free to share those videos. Every time you see them pop up every day, share those videos. Let's see, I had one more. Oh, yeah, here it is. This is crazy. My Idea. Joe, do you still got that My Idea graphic? I think you do, from a couple weeks ago. Week 1. So this is our My Idea update. Week 1. 270 ideas flow into the state box, according to Brian Fanny. Comments range from pay to beer. Yeah, there it is. There it is. Governor Asa Hutchinson's face on My Idea. What's the website again? myidea.arkansas.gov, something like that. Improve, transform, innovate. Do you have any ideas? I mean, one idea might be not to give the employees the pay raises. I'm just saying if you want to go over there and that might be one idea. Maybe. I can think of a lot of and yeah, the Paul Harrell program, we're going to submit some ideas. So that's going to happen. myidea.arkansas.gov. Okay. So I'm not sure. I'm curious because I don't think that you can just read everybody's ideas unless I don't know if this is what the government wanted the Gazette to know or if the Gazette FOIA'd all of the comments so far. I bet they FOIA'd them. Arkansans submitted hundreds of ideas to Governor Hutchinson's virtual suggestion box in the first week, asking for changes affecting everything from beer sales to foster children. Responses ranged from thoughtful, putting a single state. Listen to this. Somebody said that there needs to be a single state government office in each county to save money and tie services together. That would be 75 new offices to staff and pay for, but again, I'm sure many people are like, that's a great idea. One person wrote, quote, Governor Asa Hutchinson should resign. Oh, man. Who do you think that was? Who do you think wrote the suggestion, quote, Governor Asa Hutchinson should resign? I'm just curious. Who do I think it is? Well, yeah. Joe, who do you think that was? Is it someone that I would know? No, I don't know who it was. Because, you can submit these suggestions anonymously. I don't know. I got a feeling whoever wrote that, just a feeling, is a listener of ours. Popular submissions including legalizing recreational marijuana, improving the foster care experience for children, ending executions, blocking the Ten Commandments monument that's set to go up on the Capitol grounds. So that's, kind of a lot of leftist stuff. Speaking of leftist, where John Brummett, liberal columnist John Brummett, decided to admit in one of his columns that he was recently speaking to a bunch of Democrats and he had to calm them down about Asa because they were all upset about Asa. And I got the feeling from John Brummett's piece that he kind of is, now Asa's ambassador to the left. John Brummett is well aware that conservatives have been elected on a specific platform, and he is well aware that Asa has thwarted that. And because John Brummett is a leftist, I got a feeling when he talks to Democrats in, public settings or, meetings or whatever, he's like, whoa, guys. You have no idea what Asa has done to actually thwart conservatism. You have no idea. Now, he would probably call it, something other than conservatism, but you know what I mean. It's fascinating to me. Not only does John Brummett endorse Asa for re-election, John Brummett is now having to talk Democrats, the ones that are left in the Democrat Party, the real leftists like he is. he's now trying to basically tell them the politics of this and be like, wait, we could have a real conservative guy in there, like Bobby Jindal, a Bobby Jindal type. And we don't want that. You guys need to appreciate Asa for all of the, what I would call liberalism he's enacted, but what they would say he's stopped conservatives from governing the way they were elected to. And he has done that. Back to this other article about the ideas that are flowing in. Does 270 ideas seem like a lot to you when the governor of the state of Arkansas does a program like this? That doesn't seem very much. It doesn't seem like a whole lot. 2 people asked the governor to keep Arkansas Attorney General Leslie Rutledge off national television. Okay, that's another leftist thing. A lot of people are, they first of all, those are leftists that they don't like that Leslie Rutledge is the Attorney General because she's a Republican, but also it's because she's a woman and she goes on national television, and they got a problem with that, and so they parse everything she says, and the fact that she also supports the Trump administration drives them crazy, drives them absolutely crazy. Now, when Asa Hutchinson goes on national television, he talks about how the House Republicans' repeal of Obamacare doesn't need to, that it's not the end solution because it's going to put too much burden on the states. Matter of fact, Trump's budget is going to make states like Arkansas have to grow up and actually govern. If it were to get passed, have to actually govern because, hey, look, the party's over. We're not going to continue to do this anymore. We're not going to continue to spend responsibly at the federal level. Thereby, you can no longer spend irresponsibly at the state level. You actually are going to have to govern and make tough decisions and put government back in the box that it needs to be in. Not this uncontained, ever-growing, just a constant metamorphosis of new responsibilities the government claims it has to take money from us to take care of us. Okay, what else do we have? One man who said he moved from New York State to Arkansas said all he wants was to be able to buy beer on Sundays. Quote, that must be a rough... You move from New York to Arkansas. People that they don't even have a clue what Blue Book laws are. Talk about a shock. I mean, you got to realize what a huge shock this is for people that move to a state with Blue Book laws, no alcohol sales on Sunday. They cannot believe it. Like it's the... it's just one of those things that highlights the difference. We can be in the same country. We can all be Americans, and yet we can have different laws. Which, by the way, for the last 100 years, the government has tried to do everything at the federal level to get state laws to all be the same. Violation of our sovereignty. Well, it's not necessarily a violation because we accept it, but they are trying to make us less sovereign. That was that's the Fed's goal. Quote, my final goal is to walk to the store on a beautiful fall Sunday morning, followed by walking home with beer to enjoy the National Football League. This is a man by the name of Henry Belding, the Democrat Gazette writes, from New York. Moved from New York to Arkansas. I'd love to have that guy on just to talk about, Arkansas has more licensing boards than the state of New York. A lot of people don't realize that. By the way, if you want to call and give your idea, you can call this number to give your ideas, listening audience, to Governor Hutchinson's idea hotline at 884-769-4332. Again, if you want to call and give your idea to the governor's hotline, the governor's My Idea hotline, 884-769-4332. We need to make a Facebook post, encourage people to call the number and give their ideas or submit it online. The My Idea line is a means for Arkansan citizens, taxpayers to submit ideas from their perspective on how we can improve state services and find efficiencies throughout the state government to make their lives easier. That's according to Amy Fetcher, the governor's chief transformation officer. Chief Transformation Officer Amy Fetcher. They had foster care, caseworkers, stuff like that. I'm just kind of skimming this, but yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I can think of a lot of things. Quit overspending. Quit spending more money every single year. Quit taking so much money from us. Quit. You guys feel entitled. Just stop it. Stop inventing responsibilities that the government, has to solve. Well, this is a new, and it's so selective too, because they always say things like, when we want to do something that's conservative, trying to protect liberty, you're trying to fix a problem that doesn't exist. Yeah, that's what they say. You're trying to fix a problem that doesn't exist. That's what they say when we want to protect the privacy of people in bathrooms, even though the problem does exist. Or you want to say, hey, we really think that Sharia law is not compatible with the United States Constitution, so we would just like to pass something that just kind of reaffirms the Bill of Rights. You're going after a problem that doesn't exist. Actually, no, that one certainly exists. By the way, kudos to State Representative Brant Smith for getting that bill passed into law. The governor did not sign the bill, saying that, we're not going to allow any other law to govern us in a court. The governor did not sign that bill. Other than American law, Arkansas law. He just allowed it to become law. I am thankful the governor didn't veto it. Very thankful he didn't. But he wanted to. He certainly wanted to. What else do we have? Hey, Joe, go over. See, can you go over to paulharrell.com real quick? I just want to, before we go to break here. On that. So go over to paulharrell.com, scroll down. I want you to look at the sign-up sheet here where you can sign up to be a part of the insiders list that we have. Let's see here. It's going to pull up eventually. We've been sending out these emails
American law, Arkansas
every day.
Law.
Oh, we're going to have to
He just
mute,
allowed it to
mute the player there. Yeah. Sorry, that was us logging onto the website. See, when you log onto the website, you immediately have the live stream player there for, and of course, we're on a little bit of a delay. But if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you not only see our Facebook feed at paulharrell.com, our Twitter feed at paulharrell.com, and then you also see our sign-up sheets. And it's very simple. You sign up for our email updates, and every weekend, we send out kind of this compilation of the things that you've missed if you've missed the show, and they're shorter interviews, so you don't just have the entire you don't just have the entire 2-hour broadcast each day. You actually end up getting shorter segments that you can share with your friends, as well as sometimes we got important breaking news that we want to get to you, we want to get to the listeners and get to the subscribers. So, anyway, throw the website up there, Joe. You go all the way down to the sign-up sheet so people can see that. Did you lose your contact? Joe has lost a contact, everybody. No, that's what just happened. You've lost a contact. Okay, what's... yeah. Oh, I see. All right, well, hey, we'll do it when we get back. Sorry, let's just take a break now. I thought you were on the imaging screen, but you were on the wrong computer. Okay, so we're going to take a break. But before we do, I do want to tell you about iTex. Okay, iTex, they are the techs to trust. We got ransomware all over the place. And you've heard the attacks, nationwide and things like that. And I want you to know, you would be, especially after you hear me talk about iTex, you'd be pretty upset. I would imagine you'd be pretty upset if you go to your work tomorrow or you go into your work a month from now and your computer's locked up and they're asking for, Bitcoin. And especially if you're one of the, some people still don't even know what Bitcoin is, although it's an amazing success so far. That's, kind of volatile, but whatever. Don't let that happen to you. You know what happened to a sheriff's office over in Carroll County? They actually had to pay the ransom to get their data back. So if you're a small business owner, I don't want that to happen to you, and I just want you to call iText for a free consultation. Like, I just want you to be proactive and call them for a free consultation. That's all you have to do. Their number is 870-336-9778. That's 870-336-9778. Don't be intimidated thinking you're going to pay all this money and a very expensive, cost for a managed service provider. Just have a conversation with them. It can be affordable. It can be predictable. iText, they are the text to trust. iText USA is the website. That's itextusa.com. itextusa.com or call 870-336-9778. The Liberty Machine rolls on back in just a moment.
Bob Maloney here from ASA News, The Parrot. Breaking news from the Capitol in Little Rock. Over now to our new on-site reporter, Susan Shenanigans. Susan?
Thanks, Bob. The governor has just announced that a Blue Ribbon Task Force is to be formed.
Today, I'm asking your support for a Blue Ribbon Legislative Task Force to be created and directed to recommend further reform.
Now we go live to the chamber to listen in for more information on the task force.
I hereby call this session into order. First on the agenda for today is the formation of the Blue Ribbon Task Force. Is there anyone who would like to give their thoughts on the task force?
Yes, as someone who is deeply conservative, why is the governor choosing the color blue for this task force? Sounds like he's really a Democrat loyalist. Why not a red ribbon to prove he's a true conservative?
Well, I represent Walmart, and we agree with the color of the task force ribbon. The color blue is best consistent with the Walmart brand.
I object to this choice. Blue is the wrong color ribbon for this task force.
Well, who are you?
I am Mr. P.C. Wrights, and I represent Target, and we want the ribbon to be red, not blue.
Hold it right there. This seems like a tough decision. Why not ask the governor to call a special session at a later date for an important decision as this?
I think this is something worth talking about. I motion that we decide the color of the ribbon today.
I second it. Fine. We can decide it now. Does anyone have any other suggestions for the color of the ribbon?
I think the color should be white.
Whoa. Hold on. Definitely not white.
I agree with Mr. P.C. Wrights. Maybe we should choose green for the farmers.
You like the color green because you are a farmer. I think it should be purple, so we can display how Arkansas is an extremely moderate state.
Why are we even discussing this? Shouldn't we be talking about tax reform instead of wasting time with this?
Well, the people have spoken. They believe this is worth talking about, so we are deciding this now.
Excuse me, sir, but shouldn't the color of the ribbon be rainbow to include all types of people?
Please, silence your phones.
I just received a call from Walmart HQ, and they agree with, what was your name again? My name is Fabulous. They agree with Fabulous that the color should be rainbow.
Target concurs with the decision of it being rainbow-colored ribbon.
Is there a motion to make the ribbon rainbow-colored?
I motion to make the color rainbow.
I second the motion. The motion carries because I said so.
The committee will now vote and not be on record to keep the people in the dark. Back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Susan. And thank you for listening to ASA News, The Parrot. Next up, there are reports of a gorilla on top of the Capitol Dome demanding massive sums of taxpayer cash. His name? Medicaid expansion.
PHP Parody.
All right, Joe. Now let's cut to this website here for our listeners online. I just want to encourage everybody to go over to paulharrell.com. You sign up for updates. So now we've got it. There it is. It's very simple. Just put your email address in. You know, there's a spot for your first name, but it's not required. Just put your email address in. And then we got it. And then, of course, if you want to follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, you got all that. So Twitter, Facebook, or subscribe right there at the website, paulharrell.com. Of course, you also They also have podcasts, video archives, all of that is there as well. On the iTunes Store, our podcast is there. SoundCloud, our podcast is there. So feel free. It's all there and it's for free. 1 second. So I have a tip here. Somebody sends me a link to a website. This is interesting. I got somebody sending me a link to a website. It's a website called govdeals.com. Govdeals.com. And this, I've never even heard of this place, but govdeals.com is where it's a liquidity services marketplace. And it says here's the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission is selling a car, a 2009 Chevrolet Impala LS with 50,311 miles. The minimum bid is $2,525. Why? That's the question that I have immediately. I didn't even know this happens. I'm sure, obviously, the government has to. I guess they have to have a way to sell things. But do you remember the story? This is why this caught my attention. Do you remember the story when the Arkansas Game and Fish a few years back had more vehicles than they did employees? Than they did wildlife officers? 2009 Chevy Impala with 50,000 miles on it. That's not a lot of miles. I mean, that's a good amount of miles for a 2009 vehicle. Says it hasn't been used very much. That's interesting. Anyway, I didn't even know this website existed again. So, Arkansas Game and Fish trying to sell some vehicles. I don't know. Maybe they got more vehicles than they do employees again. Who knows? That's pretty good, though. The phone number to call or text, 870-275-9799. That's 870-275-9799 if you want to contribute. There's an Arkansas man that won a lot of money on The Price is Right. Did you guys see that? Arkansas man who competed on The Price is Right. He got a car, overseas vacations, outdoor gaming tables. He even got the double showcase. He stole the show. What is that called? I used to watch Price is Right all the time when I was growing up. Where you get the double showcase because you actually get within. Right, but it's when you get within, I think, $500 of the actual retail price. Yeah, I mean, when it's like really so. Because this, the report on this, he won the package with a guess. So the package was a vacation package that included a trip to Tahiti, a helicopter tour, a hot air balloon over Madrid, and a set of outdoor ping pong and pool tables. Vogel won the package with a guess of $24,150, just under the actual price of $24,320. So he was really close to the actual price, which apparently, I guess, means he got both of them. The other guy, so the other package was a trip to Memphis and a Ford Fiesta. There's always a showcase that's better than the other. A trip to Memphis and a Ford Fiesta. Wow. That's great. I'm sure it was a new Ford Fiesta. But anyway, in total, Vogel took home more than $60,000 in prizes. So anyway, good for him. That's pretty good. Arkansan winning like that. Let's see. I got a text message here. Hang on, before we go, let me get this in. Who is this? Joe. Okay, Joe in Fulton County, listening on 97.1 Mountain Talk. Hello, Paul. Since the governor is fond of Walmart, He should follow the lead of founder Sam Walton, who emphasized the hiring of department heads with top management skills. Government should do the same, and existing funds would be sufficient. Joe, Fulton County, we appreciate it listening on Mountain Talk 97. Speaking of Mountain Talk 97, you guys have one more hour of the PHP coming your way next for the rest of Arkansas. Thank you for listening this past 2 hours. We can't do it without you, and be safe. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
CBS News Now.